So I have your documents in an agenda packet online, and I have them on the computer, so they will be on the screen. Okay.
Hey, Donna. Maybe she needed it. You can really see it right here. So you can really see it right here. It's been all day in the yard.
Yeah.
It's pretty. Ah! Hey there. Welcome.
We're starting in a few minutes.
Okay.
But we are already live. And
Got it.
How you doing?
Hello.
This is my email, I know. I get you maybe, but I sent you a brochure.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's just an update on 3600. There are a lot of, there's a building going up at 3600 Wilshire. They're gonna remove 4 parkway trees, but they also want to remove 39
Is that
to
at-
41.
Is that at Normandy?
It's on Harvard.
Harvard, Kinsley.
Oh, it's, yeah, you're right, it's Kingsley.
Kingsley.
Is it the big park-like setting? They're gonna put a building in
No,
there
it's a
now?
garage.
Parking
They're
garage.
gonna put a tower, 2 towers. But Grace and I had a conversation about the other day, and then turns out that at 3020 Wilshire, West,
East.
they're also going to be removing a couple of trees. And just,
I saw
Yeah.
2 out of 16.
Yeah.
Do you know who the owner is for 3020? I think Jameson sold it and someone else.
Oh,
Yeah,
someone
so-
sold it for $30 million.
Jameson sold it for 30.
I don't even know.
I was gonna say, I
Jameson's-
thought Jameson owned all of it.
They
Oh.
owned it, but they sold it. I don't know who bought it.
I happened to get the tree removal notice on that, so I already know it's all the way past the planning by the time UNNC gets sent out the removal notices. The other one I was trying to get ahead of, and I did speak at the CPC, but Karen Mack asked a couple questions, and the lady asked a couple questions. Oh, equity, blah, 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 but in the end, we still.
Oh, they always rubber stamp.
Well, just know this, that I will be all over you, Grace. If you become our council person, I'll be like, Grace talked a good game when she was on UNNC and she's letting them cut down our trees too. So. Did you know I?
Well, as long as I have your vote.
Okay, remember, we're live.
Oh, it's okay.
For 3 more minutes of chit chat. But you also spoke at Plum about
Yes.
trees?
You know,
And did they let you speak for more than
no, I just spoke, I actually spoke from the South LA Tree Coalition. So you know, 150499S2, the one that Robin and I did to get trees reviewed earlier in the process. I think this is an extension of that, where planning is now actually putting it on the agenda. So you can see that this request is to also, this development is to remove 3 parkway trees and 7 on-site trees. In this case, there were 2, this came to my attention, I was like, oh, I've never seen this before. And that was for 1332 North Fairfax and 1346 North Fairfax. Somebody bought both single-family homes and they're gonna but you know, that whole area is kind of dense anyway with apartment buildings. It's between Fountain and Sunset.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
I don't
yeah,
know.
I mean, it's very mixed.
So, and I looked at the trees, and they're keeping the parkway trees, but the other trees, some of them are nice, and, you know, but it's not my zone, I can only manage South LA right now, so, but the block behind is HPOZ. So those people came out,
Square.
I don't know, but they were there, and they've actually hired a lawyer because, they're contesting CEQA, because now everybody can circumvent CEQA because of the ED1.
Good night,
So, good night, bye, Abby.
And who's suing on ED1? Someone should be suing on ED1 because it's not.
Oh,
Well,
so you don't even know, I got 1 minute. There's a 1870 or so, 1871, 1872 farmhouse endangered by an 81 project, and it is on the California Register. And the reason it is because the city did some federal project or another back in 2009 and got money
have a
from the
seat.
feds and did a section 106 review. And they took the money, so I know, so that one's to me kind of big, and Josh is here too, and it is 1 more minute to go.
Hey, Josh and
So-
Teresa.
Jeff
No,
McConnell.
this is not Josh, Josh is here.
Oh, Josh is online.
Here,
Oh,
Josh
yes,
is
he
here.
is.
Jeff McConnell.
Oh, hello, I'm Grace. Nice to meet you.
And by default, I'm Laura.
Yeah.
So,
Jeff, are you a community member or?
No,
You're part of this
representative.
project?
okay, and it is 7:15, so I can
Okay.
call this meeting to order. Worked out just fine, yes. Our chit chat is over. My name is Laura Myers, and I am the co-chair of the UNNC Planning and Zoning Committee and also UNNC's vice president. And I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7:15. I will share, hang on, I'm making sure I'm in the right place. I'm going to share our agenda and discuss it at the same time. So, can somebody verify, either Josh or Donna, that you can see the agenda on the screen?
We can.
Okay, all right, so this is the welcome and call to order, and the review of UNNC standing rules for committee stakeholder voting participation, introductions and voting affirmations, and then the review of the agenda. So for UNNC, we obviously have an elected governing board, but for our committees, what we do is we appoint our chairs and or co-chairs, and then otherwise, stakeholders who participate in any given committee meeting are considered a member of the committee that evening, but we do need to confirm the stakeholder status. So what is a stakeholder for UNNC? Someone who lives, works, owns property, who may attend school, may be the parent of someone who attends school, may attend church, and basically, they could be I'm forgetting the phrase, but they could be a stakeholder based on their participation
In a nonprofit.
in a nonprofit community-based organization, which has a bricks and mortar footprint within the boundaries of UNNC. So I am a stakeholder. I live in Angeles Vista in UNNC. So we're gonna go around the real room and then the Zoom room. So Teresa.
I'm Teresa Masonette. I represent the West Adams Avenues on the board of the UNNC. I am a stakeholder.
I'm Grace Yu. I am a stakeholder at Angeles Vista.
Hi, Jeff McConnell. I'm a paid representative for Hanks Wilshire Tub, which has an item up this evening.
My name is Rick Reeves, and I'm a Hanks Wilshire Tub.
My name is Katie Randazzo, and I'm also a paid representative for Hanks Wilshire Tub.
Okay? And it's still Hanks. Okay,
Still
well,
Hanks.
it's still Hanks. Donna,
Donna Jones, West Adams Avenues. I am a stakeholder.
and Josh. Okay, we cannot hear you, Josh. You could work on your audio, but Josh is a stakeholder who owns property in Western Heights. And his family's been there for, what did he tell us?
50 years.
50 years. Okay, so on this agenda, we have, as our item number 2, general public comments, and item number 3, the initial review of case number ZA 2014-4751 CU PA1. So 2014 is a date of 2014. We will get some background because the string of cases actually goes back maybe 5 decades. 4751 is really the case number, CU is conditional use permit, PA1 is plan approval number 1. For the parcels basically located not just at 2400 West Washington, but as well 2366 through I may have reversed some numbers, 2368, I think.
Yeah,
368, yes.
Yeah, West Washington Boulevard, which is between Gramercy and Cimarron. To allow the temporary storage of vehicles in conjunction with the continued operation and maintenance of the existing property as an official police garage yard. So this expansion of the use would be in the C1.5-1VL-O, the O is for oil, CPIO zone. The CPIO is a kind of overlay specific plan light. And for lack of a better description, and that CPIO does not permit new auto-related uses. The purpose of this meeting is to collect initial community comments. The case is expedited, but I don't know the timeline. When we actually get to that, we will discuss that. Anyway, item 4 is follow-up to previous cases, anything that appeared on our notification system in old business, and then we adjourn. So we don't have a long agenda tonight. Okay, so everyone's introduced themselves. If others arrive, and here comes Chris, and others arrive, we need to get a chair.
Hey, Christopher, can you grab a chair?
Sure.
And we will move on to general public comments. If anyone has any general public comments on any items not on tonight's agenda. And I have one. Okay.
You also need to,
And well, yes, well, Chris, if you could very quickly introduce yourself and acknowledge your stakeholderness.
My name is Chris Weed, and I am a stakeholder.
In the
Jefferson Park. Okay, all right. So does anyone have any general public comments besides myself?
I do.
Thank you, Donna.
Just wanted to bring up possibility of hearing the McCarty Memorial issue with illegal schools at the next meeting. And also to remind everyone about our cleanup on May 8th, the weekend of May 18th.
So, Donna, we may be having a big meeting on the May 1st meeting for traffic on Arlington with our transportation, mobility and transportation subcommittee. The date is pending, but we wouldn't be able to do both.
well, let me just say, Donna Jones has been asking about the McCarty situation. I actually thought it was resolved. David Murray said that it had been resolved. Donna, is that still going
No,
on?
we're still having problems with code enforcement actually doing anything about it. We have all the paperwork. It was resolved and they reopened the door, as Laura already knows about. So I'm asking when it can be played.
Correct, and I just feel that it would not be a good idea to have two meetings on the same night. I mean, two big topics on the same night, but I'm not positive about Chris's schedule, John's schedule, Taylor's schedule, and the person who's asked us for the meeting schedule. So it's trying to juggle a lot of people's schedule. And of course, we would need to invite Pastor Eddie as well for your item, Donna. So I've heard you loud and clear.
Okay, that's all I wanted.
And May 1st is also the night we're doing our CERT
Yeah.
training.
Yeah, but we may have, I may bring you Subway sandwiches and leave.
It's not it, I'm just saying.
I know. Right, sorry. It just depends, because I'm juggling other people's schedule. I'm not putting my own schedule first. Okay, so all I wanted to say is this Sunday, it's nothing to do with planning and zoning. This Sunday, our newest nonprofit neighbor, Rediscover Center, is having their official grand opening, although they've been present, and an Earth Day Sustainable Arts Festival at their new location, which is in, the same building as the Gramercy Apartments, at officially 1856 South Wilton Place, unofficially 2375 West Washington, but in any case, the big plaza between Gramercy and Wilton from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the entertainment is being provided by the Amazing Grace Conservatory. So it should be a fun day. UNNC has a table and there's other stuff happening. And that's it. Any other public comments? Okay, moving on to the initial, oh, I fogged up my glasses. The initial review of, I'm not gonna read the case number again because I have fogged my glasses, of the plan approval to include the adjacent parcel nearby, it's not exactly touching, the existing Hanks Wilshire Tow. So it's not S&J Wilshire Tow.
Just S&J, yeah,
S&J,
DBA S&J.
Okay, so we have our owner and land use representatives present. And I know what I had asked you to do is, first of all, just tell us why the move back, since I know you were I think pre your ownership, the Community Redevelopment Agency purchased that north lot where we're having a Sustainable Arts Festival this weekend. That was the prior remote location. And it was removed by the CRA by buying a lot, finding a lot that was in a manufacturing zone, well, truly remote lot, and getting the use away from Washington Boulevard. So now you're
Before we get into the nitty
No, I'm just.
gritty details, just quick question. When did you purchase this?
They leased it.
Oh, no. You purchased not the property, but the
Oh, the
company.
The
company.
company,
When did you come
I've
to
been
it?
here for 28 years, I've owned it,
You've owned.
maybe
you've been-
16,
Okay, you've owned it for
16 years.
And the CRA transaction, though, was with the prior owner. correct?
Yes, correct.
Right, so I'm still on the question of, if you could tell us what the company does, but also background us as to why you're back.
Okay. Well, I didn't leave. I didn't leave.
No, the main,
but-
I know, I understand, but the remote lot left.
So my name is Rick, S&J Wilshire Tow. We're official police garage for the Olympic Wilshire Division. We tow the majority of the cars here that have any violations, crime related, traffic related. What would you like to know? The move back?
Yeah,
We're not moving, I'm not moving back. I still have a location at 1907 West Gage Avenue. I looked at this as an opportunity to expand. At the current location, 2400, I can store maybe 100 cars. With obtaining the property that's right next to me, as expansion, that allow me to store maybe another 60 cars at Alpine location. So I will still have my secondary location. That's primarily the lot that I use now for a lot of the RVs and trash trailers that we tow in this area. I tow them over about 4.5 miles from here to another location that we have. So this project that I have is just clearly for expansion of my current site now.
and you've already started using it even though you haven't been zoned properly.
The 2368 is, I believe, was zoned as for already as a parking lot. So that is the part that I use now, the parking lot.
Is that correct?
It was a accessory use to Alpine, I believe, or the accessory use to the residential. I'm not really
Remember this
clear.
apartment building they had there, they tore down years ago?
Okay, I have been here 42 years, I don't remember an apartment.
So where that
They tore
parking lot
down.
is, that used to be an apartment building. He tore that down to accommodate parking for the,
For Alpha.
for the building,
Right,
yes.
so it was an accessory use to the restaurant supply.
Okay. Backing up a little, Rick. You've bought Alpine and the parking lot?
No.
You
He's-
didn't.
he said he's
You're just leasing that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So I'm just confused. Got it.
Okay, so you're holding the auctions there.
Well, that's a good question. Who did buy Alpine? Who are you?
No, it's is not for sale yet. It's still listed, but it hasn't sold yet.
Okay, so you're renting from the owner of Alpine,
Yeah, I'm leasing and
leasing, sorry.
currently with the transaction and getting permitted with my CUP under expansion, I won't move forward with purchasing until I know that I can use the location.
Right.
So that's the reason why.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull up your application if I can. And, I mean, there's technical questions and then there's background history. So again, I hear that what you're doing is expanding your business. But you know what the community did over the last 20 years was lobby and lobby and lobby and lobby to change the zoning to make sure a business like yours could never be anywhere else on Washington Boulevard. Not because of you personally,
Yeah,
but,
so starting at the top right there.
no, that's a true statement.
It's not, no, I'm just talking, you
Okay.
said it was an expansion, it's not an expansion, it's an optimization of this current footprint. There's a certain number of cars that get towed at any one time, those are the certain number of cars that get towed.
Think
period.
so? I mean,
It's
I
not,
don't,
I just wanna be clear, it's
Yeah.
not, there is no expansion of the number of vehicles, the number of vehicles are the number of vehicles. It doesn't induce additional towing.
well, but
Actually, Jeff,
it-
your
it-
explanation right now was
It-
really not accurate. I mean, it's one thing to say that, I mean, okay, I'll back
well,
off.
okay,
And
I won't, let me just
Wow.
clear that up,
Okay.
because he has a section that allows 100, now he has this other one which allows 60. He has another one on Gage, so he is expanding to accommodate 60 additional RVs, cars, or something like that. So it is an expansion, not an optimization. Go ahead, Laura.
Okay, well, what I was actually saying, in any case, was the community worked very hard to change the zone, and successfully, to change the zone to the C 1.5 and the CPIO. And the CPIO quite specifically says no new auto-related uses. I do see in your application that you're saying what you just said, oh, it's not new because it's an expansion of an adjacent use. I'm not sure that's what anyone had in mind, and we didn't have in mind that Wilshire Tow would expand because it never occurred to anyone that Wilshire Tow would expand because Wilshire Tow, maybe the prior owner, took millions of dollars of taxpayer money from the Community Redevelopment Agency to get out of the neighborhood with the exception of the headquarters building. That's not Rick, that would be Steve who did that. But, the whole intent was to change the future of Washington Boulevard to become a neighborhood serving, mixed use with housing, eco, green. We weren't really thinking trees at that time, we're thinking more ecological, environmental things, but it was part of a vision contained in a proposed specific plan that had been vetted through the community. So this has been going on since 2003. I mean, and then the zone change lobbying started in 2008. And it was 2018 that we got it and it was changed. So this, any, expansion or whatever word you want to use, or if it was a new owner and a new use, either way, but it's the auto uses we wanted no more of. And we're just sort of waiting for Wilshire Tow to live a natural life and find a new place.
Well, if
But we
I
weren't
live a
expect-
natural life, it'll be cars that look a mess in this area. I mean, we've been in that area since the 50s.
I'm aware, and
And we do
even
a good job for the community, not only just towing, we also have an
you do a
outreach,
very
we do
good job.
nonprofit for the
Hank,
area.
not so much, the actual Hank was not a very nice person. And where Grace lives, people used to tow their cars out of Hank's, not Rick's,
Yeah, no.
and just drop them right on Wilton.
Oh, that's
To
been
repair
happening last week, that happened right in front of my house and my neighbors were letting me know. And I was like, whoa, what happened?
I
This
don't
car-
think that's me.
Well,
OPG? Yeah, I don't think that's.
Well,
Where
there's another
else?
towing company that would tow it right in front.
And-
It's
and-
kind of
If it's on the
convenient.
street, if it's
It was on
parked
the
on the street.
yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I do for the city. It has to have a city citation. It has to be a
Okay,
violation.
Rick, I'm sorry, she and I both lived here a long time, I have much longer. So in the past,
I've lived over here 51 years. My
No,
mom
I mean-
live on 29th now.
okay, I live here walking distance, I live at Gramercy in Washington, she lives at Wilton
I
in
literally
Washington.
live.
No, I know where
Okay.
she lives at.
Got it.
I got you.
So I think you're aware, because there's a lot of conditions already in place on the original conditional use permit, which is not the one starting with 2014, because it was attached mostly to the across the street lot, whose function is the same as the function would be at 2368. The function at your headquarters lot, 2400, is your headquarters, and the expensive cars are the ones used for investigations, correct?
Yes.
Right, so the remote lot, whether it's 10 feet, 100 feet across the way, or 6 miles, were all the other cars, were in this case a portion of all the other cars. So the problems that we had with all the other cars is that some of them were towed because they weren't operable. So they remained non-operable once towed. So when the person retrieved it, they were still not operable. And so people would tow them half a block and then hire a street mechanic to fix it to make it work and to drive away. And so one of the conditions was for the company to have to control all that activity. You haven't had to need that condition because at this location, you've only had the expensive cars, which probably were, and the cars being investigated. So you're back now to the
It'll be the
cars.
same cars that we do currently.
Well, I've seen the cars you've got on your Facebook page. You've got some cars that look fine and some cars that look beaten rather badly. So,
That's why people abandon them.
right.
But our tour cars and the ones that are a nuisance in the neighborhood, all those cars are stored on gauge. So I'm still over there. I will not be leaving there.
Well, so the black, I guess it was like a Ford Mustang of sorts, that the wheels were bent and so couldn't move, and so it was definitely towed, and then it was definitely towed out. Like, I actually called into the police. I go, what is this? And they're like, oh, you need to have a 72-hour wait period before you can pull it, kind of thing. But it was towed out within that 72 hours. So I'm just letting you know, things are seeping already, and so, you know.
And it's been about a month, right?
Huh?
You've been there about a month? 6
Yes.
weeks?
So, yeah, we have our neighborhood, guy who's on top of it all, so he could give you more data if you like. I'm just letting you know it's happening. You might not know and not be aware, but it is happening, and neighbors are starting to get upset, going, what's happening?
Yeah, I haven't heard that. I have a good standing. I have family live around the corner. Family live on your street. And like I said, I've been in this community for 51 years. And
Right,
I
so
started-
basically they've been on Washington, we don't see it,
And
but
most
when
of
they
the
start
cars-
coming to Milton,
Most
That's
of the
what we
cars,
noticed.
and we record it, it's done on loudspeaker. I can't say the ones that drive out if they will leave the car there, but all the cars that we
No, no, no.
have are towed out.
they're towed, and they were towed to Wilton, because you can't drive this car, because the wheel was like, whatever, there's damage to the wheel, so it couldn't be driven.
Right.
And then what I'm letting you know is, and then at night, the alarm was going off at like 2, 3 in the morning. It was annoying as heck, right? But I knew police weren't gonna come in.
So the
tow it.
prior
We don't
condition,
have anything to do with the legalities of, the towing and abandoning when the car is gonna be issued a citation for removal. I'm just here to provide a safe space and storage for the vehicle.
okay, Rick, I think you didn't hear the part about the prior conditional use permit
Mhm.
that was pre-2014, that was applied to the remote lot. That's the one that's useful for this conversation, had to deal with all of these issues and made Hank and then Steve actually responsible for these activities. I mean, in other words, set a whole long list of conditions to stop that kind of behavior. Do not drive down Gramercy unless you're picking up a car on Gramercy for your drivers. There was speeding in the neighborhood. There was lots of issues that have gone away. But they're.
Coming back in.
Well, or I worry that they would. In other words, some combination of they are, or they could, or they would.
We can certainly take a look at the
Prior.
past CUP, see what those conditions are, and if they have no impact on the operation.
Well, they certainly would have an impact, because one of them was you couldn't, for example, pick your parts, I don't even know if they still exist, was forbidden to come. Do they even still exist?
They have them,
Right, but this
they
is a
like-
company
yeah.
that would bring in these giant things to pick up vehicles that they were gonna part apart. But they were like.
Oh, I don't know
couldn't
about
even
that,
come.
but I can tell you within the last month, I've seen way more flatbed tow trucks off of Washington Boulevard. Like typically, I might have seen one in the past, like 9 years I've lived here, I've seen maybe a handful. Literally in the last month, I've seen more than I've seen in like 9 years. So,
Well, one of them was parked for 3 or 4 days right on Washington in front of the apartment building.
or there's just so
But
many
it was
more.
but it was yours.
All I know is it's just like, oh, what's going on? What's happening? It just caught
That
our
one that's
attention.
parked out there is at the transmission shop, and for some reason he keeps moving back and forth. So, not to have an explanation, but that's on the auto shop right there.
Right.
So
I
much
don't
as
know,
how
just-
many flatbeds are coming in, I'm a tow
Okay.
company.
No. I'm letting you know, I hadn't noticed it, and all of a sudden, you had like 4 or 5, same night, same location, like all jockeying for position and stuff. So it was weird, is all I'm letting you know.
Right, so I mean, in other words, approval is not automatic on this at all, because the zone, which was, the use was never compliant even with a CM, previous CM zone. But the new zoning is completely out of line, so this is not gonna be an automatic yes. I mean, city planning is doing an awful lot of automatic yeses lately, but I don't know if this one comes in to that mindset or not. I'm a little surprised that you didn't.
Automatic yeses for housing.
I understand,
Right, so
but
these
they've
other
they've kind of
zones-
gotten into the hate, I mean, the planning staff has gotten used to saying yes, 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 but this is not housing. And so I'm gonna say, one, I'm just a little surprised, because I do know you, that you hadn't talked to community members before.
I have. I spoke to when Billy Green was there before she left, when the pandemic hit. I was at a financial disadvantage to make a movie when Alpine first came on the market. And it's been several years that it's been available. Not until I started working with Jeff and Miss Katie here that I found an opportunity that I can, being that the building is right here next to mine, make something happen for me. I'm the only minority owner of an official police garage, and I think I do a good job in the last 26 years of operating the place.
but
Because
you're-
if I wasn't here, Laura, look at the junk that's around here. I mean, I told,
It would be
I
housing,
would,
just to be
you know,
quite honest with you, if you weren't
it
there,
would be housing.
housing, it
Yeah.
would be a mixed-use building, it would be open space, trees, there would be other things there. And I think that, yes, you have been there for a long time, and with the limited space, I feel you've been respectful, there haven't been many complaints. But now that you've moved over, we are hearing more complaints. So, that changes things, I think.
Well, it's also immediately to your east, immediately adjacent to an RSO, apartment building, naturally occurring, affordable building, and it doesn't feel like it has much equity for the people who now not that it was great to have the view of stored restaurant supply stuff, but at least it was different than an auction or the moving around
Or
of
fumes.
cars or
So,
fumes.
As a,
Yeah,
under the OPG regulations, as a satellite location, there are certain restrictions that are also put upon the operation of it, and so this would not be a location for the auction.
but they are holding the auctions there now.
yeah, I held it there because of our lane sale dates that was published when I was making the transition is that. But once again, I don't have to have a lane sale there. I've been at 1907 West Gage for 20 years. So that won't be
This is
anything
an
to
example, though,
improvise.
Rick, of you not doing it there, because now you have the convenience of having it, and the way you see it, the convenience of having it next to your other location. So,
And I thought it would bring something good to the community. I've been here 51 years, and I'm 51 years old. And I've been here, and I say, I have a nonprofit that works in this community, Nowhere to Go, and we provide a lot of things, not just towing. If someone has a towing issue, I don't give them a bill or anything. We jump up there and do it.
Rick, I bet you, because you're so community minded, we can come to an agreement that will be a win-win for everybody. Okay, I'm sure we can manage that, okay? Because you're someone who cares about this community.
I do care
So,
about the
yeah,
community.
I know, so
I do.
we're good.
Yeah.
We're gonna be good. It's just, I will say to you though, when you say words that make like attorneys jump, it just kind of went like, okay, you wanna go that way? I'm sorry, I get like that too, right? So I'm just like, okay. And we'll pull it down, because I've got another attorney that lives across the street from me, and she's far more of a litigator than I am. And so it's just like, okay.
And then you know what? Laura's known me for years, 20 years.
Which is why,
they're
again,
paid to help me. I don't,
No, no,
terminology that I used here, excuse me.
Right.
I should be letting them speak, but at the same time, it's my business.
Yes.
I am passionate about this place. And I mean, I really am. Not just that place, the community. If the
Look,
issues we
I
have, Grace,
appreciate
I'm with you. I'll work it with
Right.
making it go away.
I appreciate the fact that you have a towing operation that takes cars that are really just not worthy of being on the street, and getting it to its final resting place. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're providing a service that the community needs, that this city needs. So I'm sure we can come up with something that will work in everybody's interest.
Thank you.
right, but I also, I think we need to address, we meaning you guys, as well as us, how does it get mitigated for the residents immediately to the east? I mean, I don't know who the renters are, but they are not wealthy.
I know the majority of them. In that location, Laura, just put it out there. After 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, we don't even open the gate. I mean, we close up at 6, but there's hardly any traffic in there. It's one day that the auction is on Wednesday. I mean, that's the only time you'll even see anybody in
So
there.
you're
It's just
still
on
talking about
Wednesday.
having the auction?
Well, no, I'll move it, but I'm saying
Oh.
currently, the only traffic that's in there is on Wednesdays. There's nothing else going on besides Wednesday. That's the only date that there's been activity there besides, it's nothing really else going on.
And ultimately, it will continue to operate as a parking lot, it's parking vehicles, which is what it does today.
Well, but it's vehicles that are being towed and manipulated. It's not really the same thing as and I have a pretty clunker car, but I can at least drive it, turn it, face to the wall, park it, lock it, and walk away. It's not quite the same thing. I think, you're not driving these cars, so you have to figure it out.
I mean,
And
how much longer you gotta deal with me, Laura? Since I've been a kid, this conditional use permit ends in 2031? You say go get a real life or go do something, you're only gonna see me on my bike around here from when this is over with. I mean, why not give me the use permit? I work hard for this area, you've been knowing me for 20 plus years. I've never had a problem. Now, Hank started the company in the 50s, 60s, it went on to other owners. Since then, I changed the whole area, changed how things work. I don't have that same type of, I don't know how you see it, but I don't have the same type of business ethics. I didn't grow up rich. I don't live in a rich neighborhood. I live in Inglewood in the same house because I moved from my mom's area. But outside of that, 2031, you guys can take everything and I'll work with you on building whatever then. But as it stands right now, I'm coming here,
is it
basically.
2031? Because
I don't know.
I guess it would be from
Something like
2016 for 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
But
coming here.
it's renewable. I hear what
Yeah,
you're
it's
saying.
renewable, but you're giving me hey Rick, what you gonna do when, I understand the stipulations and the same thing that I have
Well,
at 2400.
The other comment I'd make is building housing seems to be how everyone gets rich in the city of Los Angeles.
Okay, rich, probably my kid might see that, but I got rich bills, so I'll be paying bills for a very long time.
Okay.
God, so be it,
Well,
but at the same time,
Here's the thing,
I'm not in a
trying to
position
make
to
it
do
not,
housing.
I'm trying to make it not personal. I'm trying to make it, what are the conditions that are being proposed?
Well, it
That
sounds
would-
like perhaps Jeff didn't know that there were additional conditions because the number is different than the
Right.
2014. So it's,
You do.
Yeah, as a extension of the existing location, we were basically taking the existing
Right.
conditions that apply there and apply it across.
Right,
the
and
additional
it's a
parcels.
different, essentially it's a slightly different operation than what are you calling it, remote? I'm calling it remote, but it was.
Satellite.
Satellite. Yeah, the satellite operation is different and is what caused problems in the past. And, go ahead.
I heard Grace trying to work out a compromise. Is there any landscaping option that we could?
It's required under the OPG, so there'll be additional greening that will happen there that doesn't exist today as well with.
Isn't that one of our
additional,
dead trees?
Yeah, I don't know, I didn't finish what I was saying.
Oh, sorry.
That can include large canopy trees, maybe expanding the tree well size, maybe giving up a parking corner in the back where we could have a native tree or some other, or something. I mean, I'm a little more, less inclined to compromise. But I'm one person, I hear what Grace is saying, and.
I didn't say anything other than I said we could come to some kind of resolution that would be a consensus and a win-win,
Well,
otherwise
okay.
it won't work.
Okay.
That's all I said. And actually, this property is being leased to do the function that he wants to do, so I'm not sure how this tree,
Oh, if
He's-
he's only leasing it.
he's
then
only
probably-
leasing
Yeah.
it, so
Well, the street tree, but I mean,
Well, no, but, I mean, he's leasing it, so he doesn't own it, so he has limitations on what he
Yeah.
can do
Yeah,
unless it's
so
permission
that's-
from the owner, so.
so
Certainly in the public right of way where there is no street trees today, that could be something that we take a look at as a
Right.
condition of
well,
approval.
well, do you,
To secure this.
I'm also hoping that this is not something that is required and therefore maybe we have our own funds we can use to have the tree, because we're about trees, right?
Yeah, oh no,
Well,
I would certainly require
here's-
it. Well, yeah, I mean, if,
I'll plant a tree.
hang on, what I'm trying to do, I'm gonna keep scrolling
Yes.
here.
uh,
I'll get to it and then put it back up on the screen. We can see it, but we can't, okay. This is not a screen share. Okay. I think what we're not seeing is that there's a planting space somewhere along here
Right
for
there,
a tree.
probably where the Washington is going.
Yeah, but I think there was a.
It's an opening.
Yeah.
it's called a tree well.
So in other words, I'm gonna pull this up, that's what I was trying to do. The UNNC back, oh my God, 20 years ago, planted 100 trees on Washington Boulevard,
I remember.
maybe 50 are alive. And I believe one of them that's missing is the one that's front of that.
Right.
It's on our list.
Oh,
I can
it's
see,
corrugated.
I can see the well from above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going, but he's not the owner of the Alpine.
No,
And the
no,
street trees that can be planted by
no,
anybody.
it's on, I think it's on our list for planting, and we never got Alpine to agree to adopt that tree.
Okay,
It's on our list of the 25 trees we paid for.
Let's not go down the
KYC.
tree.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's like neither here nor there on
So
this
can you
project.
guys explain how you're able, what approvals you have from the owner to make these?
Any changes?
Yeah,
There are no changes planned for the property. There's no changes to the building.
How long is your lease?
Talking to them, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm working this out pending my, if I can use it, I didn't wanna buy it and couldn't be able to use it.
Okay, so that's what I was
Yeah,
going at. You
but-
are potentially looking to
But I'll
buy this
have
facility.
pretty much rights to do what I need to the property.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can I ask, today when I drove by, it looks like, I mean, I should be looking up there, but you see where the Washington is kind of running into that space there, and there's a driveway. It seemed like it was open and there were vehicles driving into the building. Was that
They're
a wrong
moving.
look?
They're moving.
Right, no, in other words, is the inside of the building going to also be used for
No.
storage of vehicles?
so the
Not
cars that
that.
were going inside were doing
Yeah,
what?
so
They were
this
in
right
there?
here, they're moving where the garage door is at. Have you been in Alpine?
No, yeah.
Okay,
lately.
so everything's being moved out. Their trucks and the cars they park in here is emptying all out. Pretty much, it's still probably maybe a month left that they have removing the plates and all the restaurant equipment that's in here.
Right, so are you gonna be using the building or just the parking lot?
Wait, but it also sounds like Rick is planning to buy Alpine.
No, I understand, but we're trying,
And
And then-
No, then that's
then
a
what-
different story, so
Yeah,
I'd like to
Because
know
not
what
just-
this is.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what I can do yet. I haven't got the
Okay, so
condition
now,
list in
now he can say it would be like adding space to, because he's actually purchasing it, right?
okay, so for this application, are we only talking about the parking lot? That's what I'm asking.
Well,
And
Yes.
for the
But
vacant
Laura,
lot?
it's camouflaged
No.
under
You
the,
cannot use that interior space for parking, because currently its use is for retail.
yes, but the big picture is that someone wants to buy it,
I know.
buy it.
I
So we're
understand.
not just evaluating it on its current, the possibility of using it, this space as a leaser of that. But that once they buy that and they own it, then now other things may happen. So
Mhm.
that's how we need to also
Of course.
evaluate it.
And that's sort of why I was asking the question, because what I saw was a vehicle driving into the building.
And you're
and it
saying,
was
Rick,
sort
that
of-
that person was driving in to
But
get some of the remaining
they could have been
supplies?
just stopped, I mean, in other words, there's a little drive, this
Yeah.
morning, I mean, I can tell you, it was like
I
about
seen
11
it,
o'clock
yeah,
this
no, that
morning.
was you know what, that was somebody that was,
Just crossing, just
yeah, I
parked
don't know,
across
they were
the
right there on the
sidewalk.
phone and we made them move, so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And Rick, can you just say, I know this is uncomfortable
No,
for
it's
you,
fine.
but
No,
if
it's
you
not.
were to purchase that, what would be your plan for the interior?
The building's coming down.
No, well,
Coming down and then now expanding, now he has a 3,000 more additional.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all right
You
now.
don't know yet.
My money is not that knowing. You know, honestly, you know, I have 22 employees. And the cost of doing business, not just being here or just, you know, I'm recovering from this pandemic.
The city of Los Angeles is
And
getting expensive.
honestly, so outside of that, I don't know. Honestly, my
Oh, no,
money
I
is
believe
day
you.
to day. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I wish with the amount of space in the front that I can tell you, hey, I would like to have a coffee shop, an internet lab. I would like to do things, you know, put a study there for mentoring or something like that. Yeah, it's a lot of things I would like to do, but I don't have the money to do it. I'm in torn. So right now, I gotta inch my way along. I mean, that's all I know right now. I mean, I've been there 30 years. I know torn.
Rick's been pretty clear with us that he wants to park vehicles in the parking lot, and that is where we are at the moment. He may evaluate other ideas in the future where his office is, where, you know, maybe that office goes in this building, but none of that is decided at the moment. He's leasing the parking lot. So conversations will continue over this.
So what happens if the opportunity arises that actually just intensifies this business further with the building itself? You've leased only the parking lot, or are you leasing the building?
Building
Does that
comes with
change what's in, do you have to do a PA two? I mean, in other words, does this plan approval application include those possibilities? Because I know it did not include, Rick, you may not have read, you probably didn't write it, Jeff wrote it, it did not include the auction.
Okay.
So,
That's fine.
for example,
I didn't
or
either.
you probably wrote it, somebody wrote it who wasn't you.
Who didn't know that you were doing auctions, so.
Right, so for example, but I mean, how does this end up working? Because I see where you're saying it's like you can't really make your final plans if you don't know if the city's gonna
He doesn't even know if he could ever gonna
get
buy it.
this.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
they may never
Yeah.
come to agreement on what the terms of this are. So obviously this thing's been for sale for a while. Nobody's bought it and built anything with it yet. So
Yeah,
Right,
How
Well-
long has it been for sale?
3 years since the
Couple years.
pandemic. Yeah, since the pandemic.
Is the advantage for you, the underlying business imperative for you, the proximity to the existing location?
that's
It's
Yes.
next door. Forget proximity, it's next door.
Yes.
right.
yeah.
Right,
Right.
literally.
Your continues to operate.
Would your business be adversely impacted if it were further away, somewhere else?
It definitely, yeah, if it was further away, yeah.
That means that you wouldn't be
How
able
so?
to expand.
Well, the way it's written in the zoning, yeah, it's hard to go anywhere. If it
But you did
wasn't,
go to Gage.
well,
Right.
that's because it was allowed in industrial, in.
Well, and the community redevelopment agency had some ability to create that match.
Is it in the division?
It's in 77 division. I worked
Yeah.
with the CRA at that
The
time.
community
It was,
redevelopment agency
I
worked
believe a
something
lady,
out.
Miss Alta, that lives in the Gage Quarter. So I worked with her like 20 plus years ago and probably like 10 years ago at the location over here. But once again, I'm not leaving that location. I'm still there.
Yeah, so Jeff, the background is that Washington Boulevard is part of the mid-city corridors.
Yeah.
And the idea of that redevelopment plan was economic revitalization. You know, housing was a real secondary. And so they acquired the lot across the street from the Wilshire Tow Company, whoever owned it at the time, but I think it was Steve.
Steve Duncan.
And he owned the land and he owned the business, two different things. But the goal was to create a catalyst economic development at that location. It didn't happen, CRA got shut down. And to remove blight, I mean, in other words, these were the words used for the council motion approving this thing. And the use of taxpayer money, et cetera, to do the acquisition. So it was to remove blight and the nuisance use. It was defined as a nuisance use. But they sweetened that pie, not just by buying the land, but by making an arrangement on this parcel. I think they had, for some reason, some controls over too. I don't remember why. It was just like, yay. And it technically fit, even though it wasn't in, it was close enough. I mean, it was like, it made people complain who had to drive to a far remote location to get their car. But it was to remove the nuisance and blight and to create an economic opportunity on Washington.
What the
And, you know, the city still owns the land across the street. It's a big 100-year lease.
this one serves what,
The Olympic and Wilshire Division?
right? So you have a geographic area which you must remain in.
Yes.
Right, but this was somehow allowed.
Yeah, it is not allowed under the OPG. So it has to be within the geographic
Okay.
boundaries of that.
He
The
is.
satellite can be outside.
Yeah, the
of
satellite.
Yeah,
geographic.
the sound, you know, the head,
Okay,
no,
just want to be
no, no.
clear, like.
Right, right,
There's
so-
there's an OPG rule that
Right.
sort of supersedes that you have.
Right.
But it's about distance, right? So you have to be able to get there quickly to tow.
Correct, and also, Hank, got the Wilshire tow OPG, we were in the Wilshire division.
Right.
Because there was no Olympic division.
Right.
Right.
So when they created the Olympic division, that was the boundaries of Arlington, so you know, well, it was, again, probably Steve, could have been Hank, I don't remember when all of this happened, but found themselves not in Wilshire any longer.
Yeah, Olympic officially opened in 2009, so that's when the boundaries changed.
Right, but again, we had a whole, you know, this is many years later, and again, the community had a different vision for all of Washington Boulevard. And it was to eliminate auto uses, not just this one, it was to eliminate auto
Well, I have a
uses.
question, are tow facilities considered a nuisance?
In the world of economic development, they're a blight and nuisance because they're, nobody wants to locate next to them, right? They're not a nuisance per se.
Right.
I mean,
But just-
it's
I mean,
this
when you
is an
said that
economic, in an
the-
economic development world,
Right.
yes. And, you know, they don't have to be a nuisance or blight, I mean, you can operate properly and you can have pretty trees, right? I mean,
And it will still be considered a nuisance.
in economic development terms. You wouldn't want to locate housing next to it. And, you know, I mean, basically, you would not want to build new housing next to it, just because, not everybody works in the day and sleeps at night, some people work at night, sleep in the day. You know, there's noise, there's visual light, et cetera, but I'm not trying to be personal to you.
Oh, no, I have, the Dean of Law, Mr. Keys has been behind me and, I think he would have been here if it was a problem, because his backyard and his bedroom window is right
Yeah.
behind me.
Right, and you
And we
have,
do the dropping there at night for the last ever, so
right.
I don't think he had a problem, because he'll come around
Are you behind, is he behind you or is Greg Jackson behind you?
and, no, Keys is right behind me. He's
Rick
right
Jackson's
behind
house is
me.
right there too.
Yeah, it is, and Ed Saunders. I mean, it's at least
Well, I know
Greg.
Greg's is, I don't know.
I know Greg's is too, because went to plenty of parties at what was Peggy's house, now Greg's, in the backyard, and you could hear some of the clanging, but, you know, but it is what it is. I mean, this was the conditional use permit that was acceptable.
Could I ask, what are the factors that drive your business? What, on a graph, what sends the numbers up into the right for you?
You know, it hasn't been a number business with the homeless issue and the language legally that's going on in Los Angeles. I can just speak for LA.
But what grows your business?
I'm
It's
really
not
not
a
a
growing
growing business.
It's not a growing, it's across the board, every OPG is down significantly from where they were back in 2010.
Yeah, just the police
Historically,
don't
but
tow
what are the
for
factors
anything.
that would
I
grow
know, I
Oh.
know, you get,
Yeah.
things don't get towed.
So the
Yeah.
factor that would grow it,
Yeah.
if law enforcement would follow the rules, the laws that we voted for, impound vehicles for unlicensed drivers, accidents. I mean, you get into an accident, you don't even have a response to it unless someone's been
Right.
hurt.
So if there were more screwed up cars that were getting towed by more cops. that's
Yeah,
what
if it was more cars being removed
Yeah.
from the streets because of violations.
But they're not
But
towing,
they're not, it's not.
they're often not towing because they even know for sure someone's living in it,
Yeah.
or it looks like someone's living in it.
Yes.
Meaning the person may not be present, so they're not towing people's homes. They did just start towing RVs. I mean, according to the mayor's,
Once you stop the sort of practice of towing, it sort of accumulates across the board. So then they just don't tow. They don't write as many tickets to tow.
Yeah,
So
what's
there's
the use of
inherently more of
writing?
a business here than there is in Pouncey.
I don't know about, I don't do the business over here.
Likely. Right.
Likely,
Yeah, we're more active over here.
Sure.
We're
likely
more
the
driving.
police there would probably be more willing to ticket and have it
Ticket
towed
and
than
tow.
they would here.
Definitely.
That would
So
be
you're saying
fair.
persistent-
Depends what council
Yeah.
member is in office at the time.
Oh,
Councilmember Bond didn't tow very many vehicles.
Yeah.
Councilmember Park,
Yes,
Tracy
Tracy
Parker.
Parker's
she
right there.
tows a little more vehicles. So
Right.
it's a very,
Goes with.
So again, some of
Yes.
us who have clunkers that look lived in don't worry as much. But no, seriously, more people are living in their cars, so there's a great reluctance to tow a car that looks like somebody is living in it.
although doing the LASHA counts, I tell you, the numbers keep getting smaller and smaller. We just don't see that many vehicles. I've been doing this for
Mhm.
10 years. The numbers have dwindled as far as living in their vehicles.
So most of yours is either A, abandoned, or B, the people who have parked in a lane that is no
Yeah,
parking during the.
Yeah, and, with the,
Well, you probably get a lot of Olympic Boulevard people.
yeah, the
So-
more of the Bray and Wilshire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got towed once on Olympic because I forgot about the time.
Yeah.
And you guys towed my car.
It's not a fun
I'm
thing.
glad I helped you. We
I
have to
love
help you,
it.
you know.
That's good.
Back to your question, so much is the anything that we need to come to the table to, make it work. I'm here, I don't plan on going anywhere. I've worked with the UNNC for a while. All the time Herb Weston was here, things kind of fell apart with the area during the pandemic, but like I said, I don't think I have too much of any complaints to where the city or anybody's come and cited me, or even next door to the building, they are pretty much been knowing probably the majority of those people for years. Like I said, once again, the noise issue, we are respectful for that location. There's a primary building. And like I say, that yard right there, we hardly in and out of that yard. The tow trucks don't even really back into that yard and drop. They drop at 2400. We go in there and circle out
So how-
and drop.
Okay, so I'm sorry, there's different kinds of tow trucks, big and little?
Well, I have the trucks, but I'm saying my trucks, so much is noise coming in at night. There's nothing being put in that location at night.
At 2368.
Correct.
Well,
Would that always be the case? Or would there be a case that at 10 o'clock at night, there was an accident on Olympic and they had to be towed? And
The only thing, the only exception in probably the past month we had where we opened the yard up at 10 at night was we towed like a 30-some foot RV that was junk. So we put it in there until the next morning. And that same night, we probably had a RV that burnt up by the cemetery on Washington. We towed that in that same night. So we did have those two items there until the next morning, then they were taken out right away.
okay, so I'm not really quite sure where we're going. Well, I am sure. What is the timeline on this?
They have not scheduled a hearing yet, so.
Well, it's an expedited, so what's
It
your
is.
bet, this is your profession, what's your best guess?
And this would be the zoning administrator?
It's a ZA, but it's not the ones we would normally see. This is Heather.
Yeah.
I mean, would she be hearing it? Heather
I don't know if
James?
she's, yeah,
But
I can't remember if she's back or not because she went off for something, but,
Yeah, this is expediting section So they create their own, they're not necessarily faster.
But it is part of the zoning
Yes,
administrative.
right, it's just not the
thing,
ones
not
we
the
would
regular
usually
CPC.
see at South
Well,
LA.
last time we had our intake was what, 4 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So I would say another 60 days.
So we don't have a lot of time. I mean, that's what I'm saying, this is not a case that's gonna sit around
Because
for
they have
9
to
months.
post, so, I mean, even if they were to say today, because of when the hearings are and the advance notice that they have to give and around, so like they couldn't do anything quicker than 45 days even right now, because we've been asked for our mailing labels or anything.
Yeah.
So 60 would be as early as I think. we could see.
Right, cause my feeling is you really need,
Laura, sorry. In the mailing labels, that would be everybody that's living in that apartment building?
I can't remember what the radius is for this one.
It's more than that.
Yeah, but I mean, but
It's
all those
interesting. Well,
neighbors
you got
would be
neighbor
notified.
council, anybody within, I think it's 500.
well, they
I
have,
think 750.
right, they have not even sent your package to the neighborhood council yet.
Oh, really?
Uh,
It just popped up on the advance, whatever.
It popped up
No,
on the
I-
notification and
Yeah.
I sent multiple emails to
Uh,
say, cause it hadn't popped up online, they just put it up on Monday online.
So that means, as we said 4 weeks ago.
Because, I mean, so
That
there's
expedites
stuff
work.
going on, there's stuff going on, but what I'm saying is the conditions that applied in the past for the north lot would need to be
Do you have that address? So we can avoid.
probably 2375 West Washington, it was probably that.
The new address is 1856.
Yeah, but that's an
was
address that they
Washington.
created in order, that's why it's so confusing, they created the 1856 Wilton Place for this building.
So it's the corner of Wilton and Wilshire?
Washington.
Washington, excuse me.
Yeah, but I think it was
It was
2375, 2375
Wilshire, okay.
Washington.
Washington, sorry. Wilton's in there.
Right,
And if I understand correctly, those conditions, if they were to apply, it would not, we would not support this.
no, the conditions that were applied previously would be a much better basis to support this, because they included things like not driving
Yes.
through the residential streets,
Right,
not
but I
driving.
mean,
yeah.
they would have to meet all of those requirements, which may be more difficult for them.
It shouldn't be more difficult.
We'll take a look and see what they are.
Yeah, they're essentially, the tow trucks were supposed to stick to the big streets, Western.
That's not.
Are they going down the streets? Cause
No, no,
I work
no, no.
every day. I
Hey,
mean,
no,
I have drivers, so I can't,
okay,
say I'm
We
looking
track-
down Wilton every
You're
day,
tracking,
but
right?
yeah, I have tracking.
So
definitely.
they have vehicle locators on them, so
okay.
basically if people
No,
go
I
outside
can't
of
say
those
that
two, we
they
know.
are not following those rules.
Mhm.
I can't say it because my work has changed and I'm 7 days a week somewhere else.
Okay.
So I'm not like in my front yard.
No, I know you would
gardening,
call me.
Yeah, I
Yeah, you
would.
would call me. I know you would call me.
I would, but they had, the conditions included very specifically, do not use Gramercy or Wilton or Cimarron to cut through from Venice to make an easy
Yeah,
landing.
get through.
Uh,
That's
at-
right.
No auctions.
Well, it wasn't a no auctions because they were operating auctions, because the north lot was
Was there
the,
auctions?
was the,
And it was like close to 300 cars at that location.
yeah, I mean, there was a lot of.
This location is, it's
Yeah,
not that many
but-
cars.
but it
So
was
it's an
also-
eyesore, as you wanna say, if it was an eyesore. And when you guys were putting those trees in, remember I was driving around watering all the trees in the
I
neighborhood.
know,
So,
for a
I
while,
can't do
and the
that.
drought killed a lot. Yeah, but it was also the drivers, the workers were not to be parking in Western Heights and eating their lunches. I mean,
So
there's
yeah,
a
that's
lot
not
of
gonna
things.
change.
You know,
No.
I'm thankful that I was able to come tonight so that I know I have to be well versed and will read up on all the background history for the decades this thing has been in existence. But I think we're not gonna come to any kind of resolution tonight
Right.
because it's not possible. But I'm glad to have met you, Rick.
Thank you,
And
Chelsea.
so thank you. You have great representation, zealous for you. So we will go ahead and do our due
We have to do
diligence.
the due diligence. Yeah, because the other key thing was basically there was not to be, people were not allowed to tow a vehicle or they definitely couldn't push a vehicle. I mean, I know that sounds stupid, but they couldn't be pushed. They had to be towed, but they couldn't be towed, 100 feet. They had to be towed away. They
Well,
couldn't.
That's not my trucks.
You were supposed, you meaning the
Yeah, not my truck.
management were supposed to essentially monitor it, and I think.
Well, we
whether-
do, but right now with the price of
because I-
business, it's $332 soon as your car hit the lot. Some of them may not be operable, but then you take someone that comes in that barely scraped up that money. I mean, I got people that come in and pay with dollar bills, quarters, and pennies, honestly, or I work payment plans out with them, no matter what age they are. So when you tell somebody that spent all this money or their mom just got killed, only thing I can say is, hey, you got to have a truck pick it up in here. We don't even take the cars and put them out there and push them down the street. So I have no liability to that. But when somebody come in, the only thing we can say and giving their property back rightfully is, hey, that's on you. If it get towed again, which I seen some of the trucks come out and put a red car across the street and they mark the tire and it's right back in there. So I do see the guys and some of the stuff that she's talking about that's on Washington. But once again, that's outside of my business control. I mean, I could announce
You're
it.
kind of saying that, but
That's
I
hard
wanna-
to enforce.
But I want to look at what the condition was, because I think Hank accepted it in the past, and it had calmed down to at least some degree, but it was never over.
I see, so Rick, you're just basically saying your guys parked the car in front of my house. It was another towing company that did that for the owner who
Right.
wanted to get it fixed or whatnot.
So this may
I
come,
know it wasn't my truck.
Okay, I don't.
know that wasn't my
I
truck.
wouldn't know if it's your truck or
I
whose
have
truck.
a
I'm
camera
just saying.
looking right down that street. I know it's not my truck.
right, but that's what creates the problem.
Yeah, but it's
Well, what's
these
gonna
other
create
people.
the problem if I wasn't there? Just imagine the problem it would be if I wasn't there as a police garage.
Well,
Just as a police garage, because I'm the only one that can kind of keep streets a little bit decent, the only one to get out and clean up everything. So I mean, that's what it was. Just imagine the problem there would be if I wasn't there. I mean, honestly, where's somebody gonna come from? I mean, I don't know how far, because as you know the area, nothing's zoned for a police garage.
well,
Nothing.
we don't have any M zoning, very little in the city, and it's being peeled away.
So you need me there.
And I don't need you.
And I don't either.
But everybody needs tow trucks.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I mean, in other words, yes, the city's peeling away and eliminating the M zone. And it's interesting because the city used to have a policy in place, the industrial policy, that very specifically said they weren't gonna eliminate it. And not only that, you can't have housing next to it to eliminate the chance of.
Oh, like the city has any rules on it.
Well, they did follow them for many years, but they stopped following them when they started revising this more recent round that started in 2008, the community plans, and they've now changed a lot of what used to be dark blue to pink. And pink is hybrid
Hybrid
industrial, which does allow residential use in industrial zone.
The only thing I can think of is.
Jeff is wondering how I know all this stuff.
No, I can tell you everything.
No.
So, and while I digress, I will say the draft EIR for the plastics reduction, where one of the things they're doing is downstream, they're analyzing how many more recycling centers, blah, blah, blah. But they're saying, but there'll be no impact because they'll always be in a manufacturing zone. It's like, no, that makes no sense at all. The city, you can't say they'll always be in a manufacturing zone because the city's eliminating so many manufacturing zones, so.
Okay, so we'll
Okay.
take a look at those conditions.
Yeah, and
for-
we will as well,
Okay.
and we're gonna have to have another meeting, obviously.
Okay.
And the way it works is the committee ends up making recommendation to the governing board, and the governing board ends up writing a letter and testifying to, the planning department and copy to the city council. So,
Sure, great.
and you will definitely keep me informed if this expedite suddenly becomes really expedited.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
And by the way, Rick also has some historic photos of Washington Boulevard that we've never seen.
Yeah.
So one of these days, we need to connect him to somebody who has a big scanner.
I'll bring them to you, drop them off.
Well, we don't know who has a really good or scanner who will do a big
Staples,
project.
you gotta go to Staples.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having
Okay,
me.
thank you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much, Grace. Thank you, it's a pleasure.
Okay,
Thank you.
and so let's take just another 2 minutes to talk about follow-up on
Nice
previous
to meet you.
cases.
Have a good night, y'all.
Yeah, sure.
Or, some of our older new business.
Okay.
So Chris is here really, I think, mostly to also help.
Oh, I'm here for no reason but to learn. So.
Oh, okay. Because I hope you didn't come thinking we would be talking about traffic on all.
I did
of
not.
this.
No.
Okay.
No, it's the planning, Stephanie.
Yeah.
No,
This is a
but-
very romantic atmosphere, by the way.
Oh, have you ever been here
Never been
before?
here. It's got like a Chernobyl exclusion zone thing going on.
It's a historic house that Laura helped 20 years ago to restore.
Oh, my God.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, but let's move forward so we can.
Okay, so is there any follow-up to previous cases or notes on the notification system or any old business that anyone wants to bring up? And my mind is like gone.
Nope, I don't have anything.
Okay. Donna, Josh, it's Josh's first meeting too. If he's still here. And okay,
We can now.
we can now adjourn.
Hey, thank you, bye.
Oh, wait,
Josh, wanna say something?
let's just see if he said it in chat. He did.
What did he say? Thank you.
Thank you,
Very
very
informative.
informative.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Josh.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night, thank